Okay, welcome back. We will have now a group discussion topic already known to you, which is a current topic Russia Ukraine war. We have to understand how exactly it is moving, and the Russia Ukraine war it is getting extended beyond our imagination because of four options are there for you to dwell upon it to discuss Russia's poor planning and execution of war strategy, Ukraine's effective strategy of defense, international interference and media's role, or it is new normal of modern urban warfare which is setting in. This is very interesting that whether the war which is happening is as per book, as per planning, or some kind of new dimensions are setting in. Okay, that you all will be discussing. Let's set some rules. We will have five participants. Sequence will be Nikita, Renuka, Subodh, Gayatri, Shweta. We will have, because of virtual constraints, one by one speaking. So it will be a round. First person speaks, and roughly in your mind, you must have one point which is elaborated, one or two points, and roughly 30-40 seconds at one stretch. And next speaker has got right after a reasonable finishing 30-40 seconds. If the speaker is not stopping, the next speaker, suppose Nikita is speaking, the next speaker is Renuka can barge in if it is getting prolonged from the previous speaker. So next, only next speaker can come in. When Renuka is speaking, Subodh can come in. When Subodh is speaking, then Gayatri can come in. Gayatri is speaking, Shweta can come in. When Shweta is speaking, then next is for second round Nikita. So this is one aspect. Second, we will have three rounds because five speakers are there. We will have three rounds. So after the end of first round, you will have fair idea the positions taken by the speakers. Second round, you have some background whether to counter someone's point you feel very strongly that you are against or you are in favor, whatever. So at the second round, you will have some counter arguments, supportive arguments, or whatever. And the third round, you just head towards your conclusion or your opinion, including way ahead after speaking for your views. You can give some examples, some statistics in support of your views. So, three rounds, all okay? Everybody comfortable for three rounds?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No worry, it is just a natural speaking. It is not like some NDTV or CNN, IBN or some kind of hot talks or something like that or Republic show. It is not like that. Here it is you are applying your mind, your ideas, your perceptions, and originality of thoughts based on whatever you know. And how do you speak, confidence level, arranging your points, and noting down someone else's points also. Because here it is more important. Group discussion, you must be able to note down fellow participants' point and be alive. Alertness, that is very important. I will not interfere. I will be mute spectator unless and otherwise you make a situation where I must come in and intervene. Otherwise, three rounds I will very silently listen. Okay, so ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me hear. Shweta ready? Gayatri, Renuka, Subodh.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sir, just
Yes,
one
sir.
thing. Can you just repeat the sequence? Nikita, Renuka,
sequence.
Subodh,
Okay,
Gayatri,
Nikita.
Shweta.
Nikita, Renuka, Subodh, Gayatri, and Shweta.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, you can start, and as those who want to switch on camera, you can. Okay, go ahead.
I think international interference and media's role has contributed in the extension of this war, because if we see the two foremost things which are required to go on the war, that is first the economic capability of a country, and second how strong it is military wise. If we see Russia size wise, it's a huge nation, and military wise it's a very it is very strong. But on the counterpart country, that is Ukraine, it is very small, and militarily wise it is also not that much equipped. But the international interference of countries like USA, NATO, UK, these major countries has given the military aid to the Ukraine. They have provided the missiles, anti-tank missiles, drones. Then UK has provided the anti-ship missiles. So basically, all in all, these countries have contributed to strengthen the military of the Ukraine, because of which the Ukraine is getting uh, Ukraine is the potential. Ukraine has got potential of fighting with Russia, and that war is still going on.
Partially agreeing to just number one's point, I consider that the major thing that is affecting this war to be get extended beyond our imagination is international interference, but as well as the Russia's poor planning and execution of war strategy. As we all know, Russia is one of the greatest military power here, but maybe after the annexation of Crimea was done in 2014, maybe they have become a little more confident that they will be able to annex Ukraine in the same similar way, in the easiest way possible. But due to the international interference and the Western support with Ukraine for the from the military background perspective, also Ukraine is successfully still holding up and still fighting as a strong contender with Russia. So I guess the poor planning of Russia to annex Ukraine and underestimates its power with the Western support has somehow defeated him in a way possible to annex Ukraine this time.
I agree with chess number one and chess number 2 point. And when chess number 2 point gave the example regarding Crimea, so it is very important because overconfidence sometimes leads to defeat in the war. And the same thing happened because Turkey, which is very important and which falls in Asia as well as in Europe. So basically, in Turkey there is Bosphorus Strait, and with the help of this Bosphorus Strait, we can access to Black Sea, and Crimea is in the Black Sea, and with the help of it, the Turkey blocked the Russian war vessels. And because of that, when the Russian war vessels is not there in the Black Sea, so definitely it would be very difficult for Russia to capture the marine states, or we can say it as the coastal states of the Ukraine, because Ukraine is also area wise is very large. It is not very as large as compared to Russia, but it is very large. And second thing is that international pressure, because international pressure and international interference is also very important in that perspective, because Russia's economy is draining day by day, and international pressure from USA and the NATO countries and the UN charter and the UN and the voting in the UN, which was happened in on 24th of February 2022, regarding one, and it was passed by 141 votes. And simply China four voted against it, and India abstaining. And India has clearly stated its stance that no one will won that war. So it is the thing that India had a stance on Russia, because we have to maintain both the relations regarding that. So according to me, I think that poor execution of planning, because if Russia deployed its military, or we can say it as naval vessels in the Black Sea, so the picture is completely different. But it is not so, as Turkey blocked uh, uh, um, uh, the Russian naval vessels to access to the Black Sea, and because of that, Russia's planning is something very disturbing.
Adding a point to my what my former speaker said, I would say that firstly, Russia went for a three-phased war, that is attacking from the all the sides. That is the western Russia, the down from the south, the Crimea region, and with the help of the subordinate state, that is Belarus, it attacked on Kiev. So at first they thought that they might just go in all the three ways, but we can say that because of the poor planning of Russia, or it has underestimated the Ukrainian defense. and did not actually it did not go as per they had planned. And even the Ukrainian population, the citizens of Ukraine, the resistance that they have shown, I think Ukraine gets the credit that it has put up a very good show in holding its position till now. And for Russia, when you have an autocratic leader like Vladimir Putin, so it is very difficult to extract information from your own intelligence agencies. Like it even happened in the case of Saddam Hussein at the end of his administration. When everyone fears their own leader, it is really difficult to extract information. And so you wrongly estimate the statistics and all the things that are going around. So I think the poor planning of Russia is one of the reasons for that, and definitely the intervention from the other countries. Like we know that UK, US, and even Germany are supplying weapons to Ukraine. They even have their ulterior motives behind that, because is US has the world's biggest top five defense manufacturers. So even they are gaining from that, and plus the NATO comes into picture, that US is a part of NATO as well. So yeah, they are getting their motives filled, their pockets filled as well. But at the same time, they're supporting Ukraine and being a part of NATO. So that I would like to add.
Okay, I want to say that there is not only a single point to the extension of the war, because when we see the root or cause for the war, that is an extension of NATO group, which is the international group which held by a US. And if we see the Russia poor planning, that definitely we can say that Russia planned a very poor. On the basis of that, we can also say that Ukraine planned very well. The ranking of Russian defense sector is at the 2, and Ukraine sector is a 22. Means there is a large difference between it. After the partition of Soviet Union, uh, after the Russia, Ukraine is the only biggest or economic uh, country of that. So we can't blame any one point. There are many factors which extend the war between the Russia and Ukraine.
Agreeing to everyone point, I think most of you has supported the point that poor planning was the reason. But I think if that would have been the case, Russia has toppled down after just 1 week of the war. Because if we see daily, Russia is spending almost $20 billion dollar on the war. Russia's economy is almost 1.3 million. At the same time, Ukraine's economy is only $60 billion. If let's say Ukraine is on defensive mode. So if it is requiring $10 billion per day, within 6 days the country would have toppled down. But after 2 months, the country is still standing strong. The only reason is the other countries are supporting the Ukraine, and not only the major countries like USA, UK, NATO, Germany, but the small countries surrounding Ukraine, they are also providing the whatever in a whatever possible way, like Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia. All these countries are also contributing in strengthening the Ukraine's power. And as I say, that again, that economy always plays a very important role in every aspect. So here war is going on, so not only from Ukraine but also from Russia. As everyone was saying, that poor planning, definitely there was the definitely they there was the poor planning in underestimating the Ukraine's power. Russia went wrong there, but they sum up later. Their biggest source of income is their crude oil, and most of the European nations buy crude oil from Russia. So they what Russia did is they suddenly started selling oil in very less price, so that more and more country will buy oil from them. We India also started buying oil from Russia. So this ultimately contributed to the Russia's economy, and as still it is contributing to the Russia's economy. Russia all diverting all those funding to the war. So I think international influence has played very important role, and second also medias, because if we see in media, we uh, means we are seeing that almost each and every media is saying that Ukraine is under attack, Russia has attacked Ukraine, Ukraine is suffering from this and that. So the people of Ukraine is also feeling that yes, we have been suffered a lot now. Now we have to unite, so that social media aspect is also playing very important role, which is strengthening these Ukraine's president will that no matter what, will not surrender at any cost.
Partially agreeing to all of the points that have been stated above. Yes, we all know that Russia is one of the major military powers and major economies in the world right now, and right now from the since the Cold War of 1992 was there. But still, sometimes it's not about the power, but how the execution of it is done, because as we all know that one of the largest economy, that is Russia, which is investing so a lot of money in this war front, but still is not able to produce the as much of a result that it should have been done till now as a military power. But I think that the most disadvantageous thing that is happening to Russia on the front, that it is not yet losing or getting has not completely lose the war with the Ukraine, but is not is witnessing a loss of strategic interest on an international level from all the countries that all the major countries and the developed countries in the world. As the topic of crude oil was brought up in our discussion, Joe Biden, the president of America, has ordered a ban on imports of oil, gases, and coal from Russia to the U.S., which is one of the major impact on the Russia's economy, as it is one of the major thing that is upholding their economy in right. We all know that that economy plays a very important role in any of the war which is happening or ongoing, but when your economy is trampling due to the international sanctions that have been loaded on you, it could result in a strategic loss in the war. Though you are not losing on field, but yes, you are losing strategically and diplomatically in the political front. Then another way of defining this war is like Russia's poor planning and execution of war strategy is because it is a largest one of the largest military bases, but still when they captured Kiev, they were not able to capture it completely, and it was recaptured by Ukraine again with the help of Western support. So it was one of the failure that could be looked at in front. Like Russia is a so much better, so much better nation on military perspective, and Ukraine not that powerful, but yet is doing a smart work on its side. And yes, international interference is one of the major, I'll say, major thing that is that is helping Ukraine rather than its effective defense strategy. And media roles is also is one of the thing, because sympathizing any country doesn't actually mean to support it. But right now, in some areas, it is happening that Ukraine is being framed as a sympathizing country, and Russia as an intruder, which is not 100% correct, but hence is playing a fact and is playing against the role of Russia in this war.
Yes, and according to my point of view, when Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, so Russia was isolated from the group of G8, and it plays a very important role in Russia's upcoming future, because when Russia was isolated from G8, so G8 is the grouping of developed countries, and because of that, with the help of these developed countries, we can also develop more in the economy, and in war, economy also plays an important role. So I think that when international interference or the media's role is much important, because if we are getting a minute details with the help of the media's role, that they are playing a very important role in that. And the second more important thing is that, according to my point of view, I think that Ukraine's effective defense strategy is also very important, because having less equipments, having less army vehicles as well as the army personnel, then if I'm not wrong, I think that 9,236 Ukrainian soldiers joined the Russian forces when the Russia annexed the part of the coastal when Russia annexed the part of Ukraine. So I think that it plays a very important role. Because of that, Ukraine's defense strategy is also very growing, because with the help of the support from the other nations and Ukraine's own defense strategy, so Ukraine is defending almost 2 months, the war is going on and still Ukraine is not giving up. The same thing I will correlate with the example of India, that is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj played an important role in playing the guerrilla warfare tactic, and with the help of this, Ukraine is moving forward. Uh, and lastly, means in that point of view, my opinion is that I think that with the help of the diplomatic talks and with the help of the peaceful conversations only, we can solve this war.
I would like to add a point to what Subodh said right now, that the Ukraine is still standing strong because, firstly, the humanitarian aid that has been poured into Ukraine from all over the world, be it the UN, be it Israel, or be it Japan. And secondly, the foreign fighters, those who are willing to come to Ukraine to fight on their front, second, that even has helped a lot for Ukraine. And plus the arms and ammunition and the weapons that have been supplied to Ukraine from other countries. On the part of Russia, I think yes, firstly, they have wrongly estimated, but I don't think Russia has even now has went full all guns blazing into the war. I think it still is holding it backwards because, as we all know, that Vladimir Putin, he hasn't used his nuclear weapons yet. Yes, he has kept them on high alert, but the military power of Russia, as we know, it is huge and large as compared to that of Ukraine. So it hasn't utilized its military potentials to that extent that it would. And Russia, it definitely knows that how to keep the war going on. Like it knows how to fuel the war because firstly we know that the crude oil thing that is going on in Russia, it is selling the crude oil, and because it is a very large supplier of crude oil, be it for the other countries, it is selling at a very low prices. Secondly, if we consider the industry of Russia, the rough diamonds that Russia supply to the other countries, for polishing it and then further exporting it. That is also keeping the money that has been poured into the Russian economy. And secondly, we all know that the trade that is happening between Russia and the other countries were related to defense and other deals and all. So yeah, Russia on its front, I think it hasn't entered the war into its full potential. Even if it wants now, it can pour in more and go more deep into the war. But I don't think it is the Russia's intentions are to capture whole of Ukraine. Rather, it was just targeting the region of Donbass and maybe the south of Ukraine a bit to just annex that region and get back. But Ukraine has put up a very good defense and it is still standing strong. And plus, we all know that Zelensky, he has not agreed to sign a peace deal or agreement unless Ukraine just gets back the whole of territory that he has captured. So, yeah.
Okay, I totally agree with everyone's point. If we see the point one by one points that when US put all the sanctions on the Russia, then Russia become with a good planning that he sell the crude oil at the low price. At the result of this, Russia currency is increased. The value of Russian currency is increased. When we see the part of the Ukraine defensive sector, when war is started, all the citizens of the Ukraine took participate in the war. Evenly, the president of the Ukraine also participate in the war. When we and I agree with all of you that the major factor of the extension of war is the international interference. It is totally right that other countries were supported the Ukraine.
As Shweta has brought out the point that Ukraine's effective strategy of defense also contributed in the war. So I just would like to correlate this point with how international influence was there. So Russia, as it was said that Ukraine is standing strong, and because of its defensive strategy, Ukraine was able to make the proper defensive strategy only because the country had got the proper military aid, advanced military weapons from the outside. The outside nations provided all those things to the country, because of which even the country still today is standing strong to support standing strong, and could protect the Kiev, their capital city. If all these weapons, all these aid would not have been provided to the country, Russia would have captured Kiev very earlier. So I think international influence on all the aids is contributing more to the war. And second, that is the most important organization where everyone look up to for the peace, that is UN, means United Nations Security Council. But there are some flaws in that, the in the charters of the organization, as there is the power of veto to the main five countries, and Russia is one of them, because of which any peace solution or any resolution passed, regarding resolution passed in the US, Russia usually veto, means use veto power, because of which even UNSC is not able to settle down this issue. So yes, I think international organization is also irresponsible in ongoing war.
According to me, agreeing with everyone's point here, we all know that in 1991, when the Soviet Union was dissolved and many countries were formed out of it, since then Russia had a keen interest in the eastern Ukraine portion, as obviously because it was enriched in coal, iron, and fertile land of its. And losing Ukraine to the Western power is one of the major concern, and or losing it to NATO will be the biggest loss for Russia, I think, which is the thing. Because of this, the war is going on currently also. But as we all know that in the media also, into the world also, as Russia refers to it as like the Ukrainians and Ukrainians and the Russians are one, and we're one because obviously because they have the historical and cultural significance, as they were one at a time. But now I think. And Russia gives this as a reason to annex it also. But I think it needs to be understood at this point of time, to the whole, not only to Russia but the whole world, that past imperialism cannot just justify whatever the present day expansion, like to be put it in a right order. Past imperialism cannot justify present day expansionism, because we as Nikita also pointed out, that Russia is a member of a UN also, which is one of the peacekeeping or major peacekeeping organizations in the entire world, needs to and needs to be needs to deal with this whole issue as on a peacekeeping and with the diplomatic talks, not just using the military warfares and the war up fronts. Because as this war is continuing, like from major beyond 2 months, it has been not there's nothing productive being brought out of it, rather than because there's a lot of loss of human power, military power, economy, unrest in the whole world, and there's no peace, and there's a very like the peace is also subordinated here. So I guess that's better to though it has Russia's poor planning and execution of the war strategy is one of the major, I think, the major thing that is extending this war yet also. And the international interference and international support that has been given to Ukraine to fight and still uphold against Russia are the two major reasons why this war is still going on. But I think it needs to be done in a very like in a smarter way, in a like to talk this out. We are using whatever international peacekeeping organizations we have, and deal this in a better and smarter way, so that the resources needs to be consumed and be sustained for the future, and not just wasted here in front of the war fronts, in which the winning of no one is there, and it's the losing of humanity. Thank you.
Yes, as pointed out by chess number one, regarding UN, that when the UN Secretary General visited Ukraine to means visited Ukraine to have a close watch with the citizens. So at that time, Russia dropped bombs. So it shows that what are the peace talks in going in what way. Just like Russia are the countries which have veto power, and because of that they are doing these things. This shows that how Russia is not handling this, means how Russia is paving the way or to grow this in a very systematic manner, because supporting of the international organization, supporting of the international countries, and interference of the media's role in that playing a very important role. And not only that, according to my point of view, China self-reliancy and the support of the other countries also plays a very important role, because China is a major supporter of Russia in that war. And not only that, the self-reliancy, with the help of this Ukraine and Russia war, we can learn a lot of lessons, just like self-reliance. When the Ukraine have signed the non-proliferation treaty, that is the nuclear disarmament treaty at that time, so they completely reliable on the NATO countries as well as on the USA. But when the war happened on 23rd of February, so so the NATO countries as well as the US draw back that get back from that situation, and they are now supporting indirectly to the Ukrainian forces. So I think that these 3 points are playing a very important role. Firstly, the international support that is gaining from NATO as well as the Western countries. Then the international interference. Then the third point is that Ukraine's nuclear strategy, Ukraine's defensive strategy. Thank you.
I think this is the face of the new formal modern urban warfare that has been going on, because as we know that the civilians are the major population or the major part of the war. They are suffering a lot. Many of the Ukrainian population has migrated to the neighboring countries, and as well as the Russian population is not in the majority of the Russian population is not in the support of this war. As we know, there were protests in Russia going on for a while previously. And secondly, we know that every country, be it the US supporting Ukraine, the NATO supporting Ukraine, or China supporting Russia, everyone has their own ulterior motives behind it. So this is maybe a start of the modern urban warfare that is being going on. This is how the further warfares are going to look like. So yeah, that can also be one of the reasons why the war is being prolonged for such a long time.
Okay, I want to add one point is that how the war will stop. When we talk about the Russia, or when we talk about the international interference, when US or Japan or any other country support Ukraine to give the economic or give the economic help to them, if the whole country wants to stop the war, then definitely this war will stop. We If we see the from the outside that Russia and Ukraine only took participate in war, but indirectly whole country took participate in this war. So if all the countries wants to stop this war, then definitely the war will be stopped.
Okay, good. Good participation by all of you. Good participation. Now just I will draw your attention. The topic is Russia Ukraine war. It is getting prolonged, and we have spelled out four possible reasons for such a prolonged war. 24th of February it started when the Russia invaded Ukraine. Now it is almost 2.5 months down the line. There is no clear cut outcome. There is no clear cut stopping. Why? Let's see your stand. Nikita was highlighting it is the international interference and the media's role, which is actually the probable cause, the biggest level cause, which is prolonging this war. See, in such GD topics, there may be all of these reasons. You take a viewpoint and you elaborate more on that. That is the correct strategy. Renuka was of the view poor planning and execution. Subodh was agreeing to all, and Gayatri was also poor planning and execution supporter. Shweta was also viewing and airing poor planning and execution from the Russia's part. But in the bargain, you were also, all of you almost, were highlighting how Ukraine is putting better defense with the help of others, how international support is playing a crucial role. Now, come to basics. What is this war going on? Compare with other wars. Compare with First World War, where it was fought generally at the borders, generally between armies, air force, navy. Whether it is First World War, Second World War, or India's context, all wars, including Kargil, there were certain identifiable people who were fighting. Now, this is a complex scenario where urban warfare, which in the end Gayatri was trying to highlight, urban warfare dimensions are playing roles. Imagine when Russia entered, within a week there was hue and cry from many nations that our people are stuck there. So Russia perforce had to make safe passage, have halt within war. Because international relations, they are fighting with Ukraine, they don't want to spoil relations with other countries. For example, India had 18,000 plus students and plus some embassy related people or some kind of job related people, substantial population. Russia cannot afford to lose friendship with India. So these probably they must have anticipated such kind of situation, safe passage creation for friendly countries people because they are fighting Ukraine for some agenda. That agenda is on a backseat now. NATO seat for Ukraine. That was the critical point for which the war started. And Ukraine literally now accepting that we will not be part of NATO in this, at least after 2 to 3 weeks. There was a scenario. But now again it is getting complex. Some sanctions, how these sanctions are playing role. Yesterday only there was a news that Putin's so-called girlfriend is into that list now. Some bans, some restrictions. Some Russian companies and corporate houses and banks, they are also under some restrictions. So is it easy to start war and end war? No. There is always a platform where war starts, but it is difficult to end. How US fought war in Afghanistan, how Russia fought war in Afghanistan, how US fought war in Iraq. Now this is a new dimension. And let's anticipate if tomorrow we want to take POK. A lot of lessons to be drawn from here. Tomorrow China wants to attack Taiwan.
So, I have
Lo-
one question, sir.
yes, yes, Karsh.
So, Russia is just trying to recapture Ukraine. We all know that Ukraine was part of Soviet Union earlier. So, if we will capture POK in future, there will be same situation during our time.
No, it is not same. Though the culture and ethnicity of Russia and Ukraine is same, in all respects they have got similarities. But the issue is different. Even in Second World War, Ukraine was fighting for its own existence. They were not literally part of Russia. They always maintained their own identity. Also, there was a time when Kiev was more stronger than Moscow, the relevance, significance. So it is a different battle. When we say USSR, Russia was one part, and these all small countries. Within that, the second biggest part was Ukraine. So there is a different story. They never thought very, very similar to Russia's friendliness. They always maintain their separate identity. And Russia also always tried to dominate throughout history. And the history goes back till, I think, ninth century. This battle is not a couple of years battle, or it did not start in 2014 when Crimea was annexed. It is since ninth century there are some roots where there are some differences and animosity. Okay, but now the lessons to be drawn hereafter, if China wants to fight war, or India wants to fight war, or US wants to fight war, or even any country who wants to go into urban warfare, this is the new dimension where the battlefield is different. Day to day routines are there. You see how news were getting propagated. A hospital is bombed, or a school is bombed, or a civil habitat is bombed. Sympathy automatically goes to the receiving end, and that is what is media is playing. That is what is the US and friendly nations on this side are playing. We hardly see any news supporting Russia's stand. So there is a one-sided narrative also. Maybe Russia is not paying attention to media management. So we are generally seeing how Russian army or the Russian troops are doing atrocities. There are some misreporting, false propaganda. So these things are also playing role. On top of it, Ukraine being a smaller nation compared to Russia automatically gets sympathy, and the NATO and US allied interest, they are also dominating the world's media. So many things. But the more important is how to participate in group discussion. There is never going to be a final point on this, any topic. So, lessons to be drawn in the summary, what I want you all to pay attention to. Firstly, I did not anticipate that you will speak a little longer. You all spoke a little longer. But in actual GD, someone will interfere you, someone will interject, someone will disturb you. Your flow will not be that natural. So try and be prepared for that kind of scenario. Secondly, in minimum words, you must be able to convey point, because your theme or point should be conveyed to the panel, or to the GTO, or to the audience. You may not be able to complete your sentences, but your key point should come in the initial part of your sentence. Keyword, what you are supporting or what you actually mean to say. It should not be beating around the bush. Okay, that is very important. Secondly, it was good that I could observe you were in the second round spoke in relevance with what other people spoke in first round. That was quite visible. So maintain that. Review your own performance as far as your uh, content, what you wanted to speak, and how actually it got delivered. There is always going to be a difference, because we are not that smart, we are not that experienced that whatever comes to mind exactly it gets delivered. It doesn't happen that way in the student days. So analyze that also. Okay, what I wanted to speak and what actually I spoke. This is an interesting analysis, because it improves next time. Then some of the points you thought you have spoken, but it did not come. You are generally thinking little ahead of your speaking. So at times your some of the words are missing, or some of the points are missing. This is also interesting analysis you must do. You assume that you spoke that point, but it actually was not spoken. It happens. So pay attention to this group discussion. Your own performance review is must, and your grammatical mistakes, small things, it should not be done. Any other question? By and large, it was good, beyond my expectation. Any other point?
Question, sir.
No, sir.
Okay,
So
it
I
was
have a
nice.
question.
Yes.
One
Uh,
question.
Considering the situation, how to conclude this? Like, because like how to even consider like whoever wins, what will be the winning scenario for this war? It's like very blurred scenario.
Yes. We generally don't conclude in group discussion. It is putting forward your points with more emphasis, which stand you are taking. Just stand by it. No, you should not be trying to prove that this is only the correct viewpoint. You just counter someone's point, but not proving that this is the final conclusion. It doesn't happen that way because it is what is the aim of conducting group discussion? Your convincing abilities, your power of expression, your confidence, your intellectual ability, all these things are you are just performing and it is getting highlighted. That's enough. Okay.
Yes, sir.
By and large,
Yeah,
Renuka has participated much better. Very impressive participation, Renuka. Okay, anyone?
sir,
Thank you.
what are your thoughts on Zelensky, sir? As we can see, instead of signing peace treaties, he's like fighting with Russia. His major cities like Kiev, Kharkiv, and Mariupol are being destroyed, sir. And if you will compare militarily, sir, Russia is far more stronger than Ukraine. So, what are your thoughts on Zelensky?
See, Zelensky as a leader is firstly a celebrity, uh, a person who already had a lot of fan following, and then comes and becomes the leader of the nation. With that background, he has got that an art of connecting with people. Secondly, that patriotism generation. In any case, um, maybe any other leader would have done that, but he has got more charismatic angle to it. Maybe coming from that background, he could do much better. More importantly, it is not about any individual or an organization. It is about the circumstances. Circumstances. See, suppose if I am hiding within 10 people, enemy doesn't want to kill other 9 but want to kill me. It is not easy. This is urban warfare. A terrorist, what we face in J&K problem, terrorist is not strong. It is the circumstances which compels mellowing down the aggressive stand of the other side. So who is correct, who is wrong, that is not our debate. But why this war is getting prolonged? It is because of complex nature of modern warfare where the war has reached to the cities, capturing of cities. You must try and see how Iraq war was fought. It took a lot of time, but it was no other country could support Iraq, and it was one-sided war. That's why it was clearly visible who is winning. Here it is not one-sided. There are many behind-the-scene characters and organizations and nations who are fueling Ukraine, who are supporting, and Russia. They want to keep balance with other nations. Like I gave example of our own students were stuck there, our own citizens were stuck there. So they had to cooperate and listen to the embassy call or the nation's call from India that please help us. Your war can go on. We are not bothered about your war, but our none of the citizens should get hurt. These are the other issues which are playing more role. Okay,
So,
okay. We will not say that this country is correct, that country is correct. We just highlighted how this war is getting prolonged and lessons to be drawn by the future planners. Maybe you will be there in organization where you will witness how future urban warfare will play a role because you cannot just fire at battlefield, a typical orthodox conventional battlefield. You just fire in that direction. In cities, you cannot fire that way. You have to be pinpoint. You have to select your objective target and then you have to fire. Imagine the casualties Russia is facing. That is another dimension because of this complex nature. Otherwise, they would have sat at one place and fired a lot of salvos, artillery or air force attack or missile attack, whatever, from the distance. Just because it is gaining foothold on that cities, they are losing their manpower also. Okay, nice group discussion. We will end here. Bye. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind,
Jai
sir.
Hind, sir.
Bye, sir.